10 big things after week 7.
College football is back, and we're back on the big mountain to talk about some things that jumped out at me this week during week 7.
Hey, good to have you back on the mountain. I'm JY. This is my good friend Steve, and we've got 10 big things to talk about. Some of these are Big Ten related, some of them are not Big Ten related, Steve. But I want to know what stuck out to you during week 7 in college football.
So the first thing I got to talk about, this was the at least the game of the week in the Big Ten, possibly the game of the year in the Big Ten. Just a huge game. Indiana Hoosiers undefeated, traveling against all the way across the country, play in Eugene, Oregon, play the Ducks in Autzen Stadium. Indiana was coming in, I think, number 5 or number 6 in the country. Mm-hmm. Oregon was number 3. I didn't get to watch all of this game live. I saw some highlights, and then I went back yesterday morning and watched all of it. I had it recorded. This was an absolutely amazing game, and finally, I think the game for the Indiana Hoosiers that I think the national talking heads will finally stop doubting them.
Okay.
The SEC people, although Paul Feinbaum had a whole conversation Sunday morning about who are the contenders, named Oregon, but didn't name Indiana as a possible contender for the national championship. But he still thinks Oregon is. But anyways, let's talk about the game a little bit. This game, a lot of people wondered, could Indiana keep up with the speed of the Oregon Ducks? I mean, we've seen the talent level of the Oregon Ducks. They got 5 stars. They're almost like a new modern version of Ohio State, just loading up on talent. Speed everywhere. Well, Indiana not only matched them stride for stride in speed, but physically beat them up. The score, honestly, is the 30-20. There was a late pick 6 for Oregon, but honestly, the score does not really represent how close the game was. Indiana dominated the line of scrimmage on offense and defense, really physically beat them up, and to me got a really nice win, double-digit win on the road in Autzen Stadium, which is known as being one of the hardest places to play.
Yeah,
Oregon doesn't lose much at all. They really don't lose much at home. I think the last time that they lost at home might have been 2 years ago to the Washington Huskies, I believe. So they don't lose a lot, and Indiana came in and really kind of took their jock away. I mean, to just use an old school phrase, really dominated. And, Indiana came in with really good wide receivers. They made some plays, but really the difference in this game was the defensive line just shutting down the Oregon Ducks, beating them up, disrupting their offense completely. And that leads me to big thing number 2, which was Indiana. I want to talk about this specifically because I think this was the important part of the game. They were able to physically dominate and beat up Dante Moore and make him uncomfortable, which led to his worst game of the season by far. Had 2 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 33, which is completely different. This guy's been just standing in open pockets, hitting wide receivers in stride all over the field. None of that against Indiana. None of that was there. And really just beat him up, made him uncomfortable. And without that late pick 6, this would have been a 30-13 game. Oregon had drives where they had a chance to come to basically, tie it up, get the score closer. And so at the end of the game, Indiana had 2 drives to finish it because it was low scoring for a while.
Sure.
Indiana had 2 drives to finish it, and Oregon had 2 drives to try and get the score closer, kind of tie it, maybe take the lead. Well, in those last 2 drives, Indiana went touchdown field goal, and the Ducks went 0-0 in those 2 drives. They could not do anything.
Yeah.
Dante Moore by that time I think was completely shell shocked. He's got a good future ahead of him.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can see the talent and everything. But in this game, and this is kind of what I thought about him. I've been surprised at how well he's played this year.
Sure.
I really thought there would be a game at some point where this would happen, and we finally saw it, where he gets beat up, he gets loses some of that confidence and has just a bad game. So first bad game of the year, Dante Moore, again, 2 interceptions, 33 quarterback rating. And I think that was really the deciding factor. The Indiana defense being physical, dominating the O-line for the Ducks, and just getting in Dante Moore's kitchen and causing him to have a bad game.
Well, the Oregon Ducks here, they've been really good at scoring points. So holding a team to only 20 points tells you how good this Indiana defense is, as you were just saying. And also, this was the big test for Indiana. Traveling, as you said, cross country. They get the win versus the Oregon Ducks. I mean, this is a team, maybe really one of the only or the only team that has a fairly clear path to a possible undefeated season. Don't mean to jinx the Hoosiers here.
Yeah.
You know, Ohio State, I think, potentially has that path. They have a little bit more, I think, of a difficult schedule than what Indiana has left over here. So, really interesting for what Indiana was able to do there. As you mentioned, Dante Moore has had a really good season so far. That was a quarterback that you were kind of iffy on early on, wasn't so sure. He's showed up really well for the Ducks, and this whole team has showed up really well. But Indiana proving once again they are for real. And as you have said here over the past few weeks, probably better than the team from last year. Anxious to see what this team maybe can do for the rest of the regular season and then hopefully getting into the college football playoff.
Yeah, and you kind of bring up something that remind me of something I want to say.
Okay.
It was a major defensive game, low scoring for a long time, and a big difference. We talked about Dante Moore, but Fernando Mendoza.
Yes.
He got hit and got beat up at different times, but when the rubber met the road at the end of the game, and they 2 drives, they needed points out of one of those drives, just to kind of seal it, make sure Oregon couldn't go back, and they go down. They have a late touchdown drive and a late field goal scoring drive. So to me, he needs a lot more hype about for Heisman. He needs more Heisman hype because that dude, I mean. The first game he started a little slow, but his trajectory has continued to go up and up and up. So definitely we need to start talking about him as a potential Heisman hopeful.
Well, him and the whole team, just confidence riding sky high right now. So great number 1 and 2, Steve. I love it. And you had some big games in the Big Ten. Yes. I think you have a few more games you want to talk about here.
This next game, between the highlights in the stadium and everything, I actually got to see a little bit more of this game live in person, or just live. But number 3 is USC beating Michigan 31-13.
Yeah.
Number 15, Michigan. They come in 15 in country. USC somehow came in unranked. They had 1 loss on the season, to an Illinois team.
Right.
Jaden Maeva, who we've been on, all season, coming in the preseason, been high on him. He had a fantastic game. Maybe not the huge numbers that he's put up, but just played well all game, led really nice drives that were they weren't no pressure. I mean, it was just smooth drives down the field. Now they do have a walk-on running back who did fantastic, ran for over 200 yards, so that makes it easier. But I just wanted to point out Jaden Maeva, another great game, 2 touchdowns. I don't really hear a lot of chatter about him for Heisman,
right?
But I think we both put a bet on him preseason for Heisman, and those numbers, they're you can't quite double your money, I don't think, but you're getting close to that point. I don't know if he will win, but I think his play is showing that he deserves maybe a spot on the stage.
Yeah, some consideration for sure.
Exactly, and I think he's putting together a season that's going to look really well come draft season when teams start evaluating him because he's got all the tools and he's just playing great.
I was just going to say, I mean, Jaden Maeva, a kid that we watched 2 years ago at UNLV, really impressed. Obviously went to USC, started as the backup, ended up as the starter last year. Now has the full reins, and of course, beating the Michigan team, number 15, would be shocked if USC. I didn't look at the where everybody's ranked. I assume they're in the top 25 again. I don't know. I didn't look.
I haven't looked yet either.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they should be if they're not.
Yeah.
Shame on you if they're not in the top 25. But I think you have a tag team here with your number 4.
Yeah, number 4, also about the same game. Big thing number 4 is, in simple terms, USC was much more physical than Michigan. That was on both sides of the ball.
Okay.
And all of the stories coming out, the national analysts that were watching this game was about USC's hard-nosed defense against a powerful Michigan team that was able to just beat up Nebraska earlier in the season and has been playing really physical all year. We've been waiting for a couple of years now for the USC defense to finally step up.
Yes.
They made some strides last year, but there was a couple games where the defense kind of crumbled. But this year, looking very, very good. Just all 3. You talk about their running game with their walk-on running back. You talk about their quarterback play with Maeva, and now they've got that third piece is that strong, tough defense.
Yeah.
So I was amazed, and this is a Michigan team who's been physically dominating most teams, maybe not to the level they were like 2 years ago, but enough to win games. They almost beat Oklahoma. It was a very close game. They just ran over and dominated Nebraska. And in this game, USC was just more physical on both sides of the line, just physically dominant. And I'm going to keep going back to that. USC is now a hard-nosed football team, which is amazing.
Well, that's not something I ever think of with USC, and that's part of the reason why I usually choose to be tough on them.
Yep.
Because I just feel like they falter, wilt too easily because they are not that hard-nosed football team. So if what you're saying is true, and I didn't watch this game, I haven't watched any USC games, quite frankly. But if that's true, then I can get behind a USC team that, isn't just those, South California, like, we'll play when it's nice and we're not going to play when it's not so nice. Like, if they're going to be a hard-nosed team, I like to hear that because they have an opinion to change of mine.
Absolutely.
But I am a Mayava fan and would love to see them do really well this year. And, you just mentioned 2 games. We do power rankings, and this is going to change some things a little bit, I think, in our power rankings here that we'll do again next week as we update these. Big game there for USC, a team that we've kept kind of up in that top 6 or 7 in our power rankings because we knew that they were a good team. But I'll tell you, getting that win over Michigan definitely will propel them forward for sure.
Huge. And when you look at how their season is going, they have 1 loss so far, and that's at Illinois, a team that we were very high on coming in, and maybe hasn't met quite those lofty expectations, mostly because they got their butt kicked by Indiana.
Right.
But has been a solid team, and right now that's the only black mark on USC's resume.
Yeah.
They do have huge games against Notre Dame. And Oregon coming up later, but man, you think if they could get through maybe with just 1 more loss, get to the end of the season 10-2, they could be right there for a CFP spot.
I agree with you for sure.
Okay, so this next one, not quite as happy and rosy, especially for me. Big thing number 5. Penn State loses their 3rd straight game to Northwestern. They were at home. It was a close game, back and forth. But they were going. Penn State went down for a touchdown, had a nice touchdown drive. Drew Aller was great on that drive, and you think, okay, we're going to put the hands in our defense. Put the game in the hands of our defense.
Right.
Well, Northwestern was able to march right down, take the lead back. Then Penn State has the ball. They got a chance. They got like 2 or 3 minutes, maybe go down and score another touchdown. Well, on 3rd down, they needed a first down. They needed about 7-8 yards for a first down. Drew Aller takes it right up the middle, and right as he gets to the first, a little short of the first down line, 2 defenders come sandwich him. His cleat was stuck in the turf, and crack, bang, boom, whatever. Something broke down there. I don't know, ankle, foot. When you see the video, it's hard to tell. It turns that whole joint into a noodle.
You can almost see it snap. I mean, you go from the point of pop. Okay, that's not good.
But somehow he walks off the field. I have no idea.
Unbelievable.
Yes, and the kid is tough. This is probably most likely 90% the end of his college career. It was a tough moment. I was in the stadium. It was a tough moment for me. But it is what it is. He's out for the season. For the rest of and now after we kind of wrote this script, more news comes out with James Franklin being let go, moving on, getting fired, however you want to put it.
Sure.
And now the rest of this season is just about the young guys, developing them and moving forward, seeing who the next coach is.
I mean, we could get off on a tangent talking about Penn State right now, but I'll just focus on the game, what it means. Again, 3rd straight loss. Nobody saw this coming. Of course, they get upset by UCLA a week ago. Then they have homecoming versus Northwestern. You think they'll get back on some sort of track, and they don't. And I was score watching here, Steve, and I'm with you. I saw Penn State score that touchdown. I'm like, okay, they're going to be able to hang on. They're not going to cover. They're not going to do what people would want them to do, but they'll get the win. And before too long, I mean, it didn't take Northwestern long to take the lead right back again. And I went, oh, this isn't good for if you're a Penn State fan. Great if you're a Northwestern fan. But, and then I heard about Aller, and then, I saw some of the videos with Franklin. And again, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but things have gone off the rail real quick there in Happy Valley. And, again, a whole different discussion that we won't talk about right now, but certainly definitely worthy of a Big Ten item from this week. I mean, it is a huge deal for Penn State and what's going on right now. And really at this point, as you said, it's really not about this season's win-loss record. It's about, okay, hey, clearly we're starting over. We're going to have a new coach. We're going to have a new quarterback. We'll get the young guys some time. We're going to have to figure things out. And where that ends them up for the rest of the season, I guess we'll find out. But that's the story. Like, we are almost at ground zero here at Penn State in Happy Valley, and that is a huge deal, a huge storyline coming out of this week.
Yeah, and maybe some point here in the future we'll do an episode about possible coaching candidates for the next person. There's a few very familiar names already being circulated. So.
I've seen a few of them. Yeah. You never know what to believe and what not to believe, but I've seen the rumors. So, all right, I think you've got a few non-Big Ten items to talk about next, Steve.
Yeah. So big thing number 6 for this week, for week 7 was. Texas beat Oklahoma 23-6. This was a team, and Texas is obviously a team everybody was high on.
Yep.
The media was just pumping them all off season.
Yep.
They had a slow start, especially Arch Manning. Didn't play great early in the season. The team just wasn't playing great. Oklahoma was a team that was playing great. Well, this game to me is the tale of the two quarterbacks. We had John Mateer, who we loved coming in the season, played so good early in the season. Goes out and breaks his hand, has surgery, and is back, I don't even think it was full 3 weeks. Which for the normal human in the real world, it's like 4 to 6 weeks before you can even lift 20 pounds.
Sure.
But he's back playing football, and really you have to wonder if it was too soon. This was not his normal self. He took a hit on that hand early in the game. Then for the rest of the game, he was terrible throwing the ball. He just was not his normal self, which I think caused him to make some bad decisions. Throws 3 interceptions, was just not effective. I couldn't believe they left. I would have taken him out at a certain point because he was not effective. I think they kind of put all their hopes on him. On the other side, for Texas, and again, Texas is a team really hyped by the media. They lose some games and don't perform too well, and now the media has just thrown them overboard. They suck. They're not going to do anything this year. They're terrible. Blah blah blah. Arch Manning is a bust. He's terrible. Well, he comes not huge numbers, but a really just nice, consistent game. Plays really well when they need to make a big play to keep a drive going, score a touchdown. Has a really just solid game. And Texas goes ahead and wins the Red River Shootout 23-6. To me, this because of where Oklahoma was and Texas getting this really important win, I think that puts them basically kind of back in the running for the SEC. And now you got to wonder about Oklahoma, about Mateer. Do they put him on the shelf now for another couple weeks to see if he can heal back, or does he continue to try and scratch it out and maybe continue to play bad? So I think it was a huge national game and really a story of a quarterback who was playing awesome, kind of crashing down, and a quarterback that most people had given up on.
Absolutely.
Playing really well and getting a really good win.
Well, I didn't see any of the game, but I'll tell you what, for an Oklahoma team that came in with a 6th in the nation, something like that, and they're in the top 10, to only score 6 points. And I get it. Texas has a good defense. Everybody focuses on the Arch Manning, and this team's not as good as we thought they were going to be. The defense has always been good from game 1 against Ohio State. I mean, they're a really good defense. But still, to only score 6 points here for Oklahoma, wow. That was really surprising me. Early on, this game was it 6-0, then 6-3. I'm like, geez, this game's going to end 9-3 or something like that. But then then Texas was able to find some offense. Like they had some good special teams plays too to get them some yards and whatnot, if I remember some of the highlights. But yeah, very interesting here. I certainly didn't see this coming the way, again, the trajectories, as you said. And yeah, Mateer back too soon. I guess we'll never know, but he didn't have a good outing in this one. That's for sure. So,
all right. Well, the next thing I want to talk about, another kind of national thing. So big thing number 7. Missouri loses to Alabama, and Alabama, another team that the media kind of wrote off after that loss to Florida State in the beginning of the season. They're really coming back strong.
Oh yeah.
And one of the reasons I follow Missouri closely this year because of Bo Perbula, transfer quarterback from Penn State, never got a chance to start at Penn State. He's from just down the road from us, a school that's 20 minutes down the road from us in our county. Fantastic player, has had a really great season coming into this game. Almost like Heisman worthy, running the ball, throwing the ball, has been great. Unfortunately, in this game, this was kind of his first bump in the road this year, playing a really good Alabama defense. Unfortunately, Bo, he had a pretty tough game through 2 interceptions, including the game ending when they had a chance actually to drive down the field and beat Alabama. But I'm rooting for him. To me, he's a local kid with just great character, and it sucked, the way the classes worked out at Penn State. The same class with Gerald never got a chance to start. So hopefully he can bounce back after this, because I think Mizzou, if he's playing the way he was playing earlier this season, Missouri has a chance to make the CFP. SEC is not easy, but again, just his first bump in the road. Has been playing great all season, and hopefully get back on track.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mizzou, bump in the road. Hopefully it's just one bump and it doesn't, go into multiple bumps. But I want to get to Alabama. I mean, they lost to Florida State early on, week 1 or 0, whatever it was. And you're like, oh, here we go. I know we were kind of down on them, but honestly, ever since then, they look like the team to beat almost. I mean, they have been playing really good football, beating some really good teams, and almost kind of complete opposite of where Florida State is. Florida State gets that great win. Yeah, they got 2 more wins, one against the FCS team, and now they've lost 3 straight for Florida State. Well, yeah, okay, Florida State beat Bama, but I'd much rather be Bama right now and where they're at versus Florida State. So Bama's got things going for them, no doubt about it. And as you said, people kind of wrote them off after Florida. Oh, here we go. They're not that good anymore. They're going to continue down this bad path, and they've been looking really good recently. So,
and I think it's a lesson. I think there's too much of the media and too many fans who still live in the 2005 college football world. Well, now we have a 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
We have, this NIL. We have transfer portal. Rosters are changing from year to year like crazy.
Yeah.
We're not in that era. And our friend of the show, Doug Rohan, brought this up when we talked about Florida State this year, is teams, there were years where Florida State went, 11-1 every single year. It was either like 11-1 was a bad season and 12-0 was a good season.
Yeah.
And a lot of these teams, Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon, whoever, and that's not the world we live in anymore.
Right.
With all of these changes, you can have a bad start to the season, lose, especially like a big out-of-conference game or something like that was, and you still have a lot of chances to get back into a 12-team playoff. So I think fans and media need to kind of change their expectations, not throw the baby out with the bathwater after week 1. So I think that's just a lesson to everybody.
Well, I love your last 3 because we're getting into some G6 games here, Steve. So let's go. Number 8.
Yeah. So first of all, number 8, got to talk about number 24. Well, coming in this when we wrote this, number 24 in the country. They may have gone up. They smacked a North Texas team that we've been talking about as just a good, solid North Texas team. They beat them 63-36. This is the first loss for North Texas this year.
Yeah.
And honestly, just another feather in the cap for the resume of USF.
Yep.
To me, they have to be the odds-on favorite to be the G6 representative this year. And again, just another great feather in their cap, building another bullet point on their resume. They just keep kind of rolling along. They had that nice win over Florida. Their only blip on their record is to a Miami team who is top 3 in the country, and nobody's beating them this year so far.
Yes.
So huge. I mean, in some ways it's a huge win, but really it's just another good, quality win that they've had this year.
Well, I was anxious for this team because, North Texas undefeated coming in. We had them in our top 10 for our G6 rankings, and it was a very close game in the first half. And there's just trading jabs, trading punches. North Texas able to stay with it, but man, after halftime, USF just took off, and North Texas didn't have an answer. And I agree with you. I mean, USF, them and Memphis, absolutely the clear top 2. Not even close right now in terms of the top 2 G6 teams. And the way USF started there against Boise, against Florida, I'm with you. We're going to do a G6 ranking here later this week. You can hear if we have USF as number 1 or number 2. We had them tied last week. But they just continuing to look strong. This surprised me. I mean, almost doubling up North Texas the way North Texas has started. I'm not surprised USF won the game. I'm surprised by the spread that they won the game. So well done there for the Bulls. Like they are cooking.
And USF has continued to show they have that second gear that they can go to.
For sure.
We saw that against Boise where, it was close early in the game. They had that second gear that they could go to that Boise couldn't match.
Yeah.
I didn't see this game, but it's clear by the score in the second half and the final score that they could just whenever even if another team's keeping up with them, they can shift into another gear and just pull away.
And they're gone, for sure.
They really, to me, they look like a Power 4 team. Like, they don't look like a G6 team. Like, I think in at least 2 of the Power 4 conferences, they could go in, they'd be top half of the pack and maybe compete for the conference championship.
I agree with you. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so big thing, number 9, and then obviously I'll have number 10. Both of these are going to focus on military academies.
Okay.
I tend to follow those schools, keep an eye, especially Navy, but also Air Force and Army. Not much to talk about this year with Army.
Sure.
But so big thing number 9, Navy beats Temple 32-31. Really good game. I was able to catch a little bit of this on my phone actually.
Okay.
Good back and forth game. And at the end, we see someone we're very familiar with, the quarterback, Horvath, touchdown pass with 30 seconds left to win the game. They win 32-31. And again, just another win on their belt. Not like a huge game or anything, but the whole point of playing football games is to win said football games. And they won another game. They move forward. And then big thing number 10. Again, I've been really interested in Air Force this year, and you and I went to the Air Force Navy game, and I said this gives us a good glimpse to compare the American Conference to the Mountain West.
Right.
Navy got that win, very close game, very similar to this UNLV Air Force game, which UNLV wins 51-48 to go 6-0. And again, UNLV just keeps racking up wins. You hear their detractors, they haven't played anybody, blah, 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 blah. Well, here's the thing. They get to the end of the season, even if they lose to Boise and they go 11-1, they won 11 football games. They've had a really good season, and they didn't blow Air Force out, but it's another win against, Air Force doesn't have a great record, but they're a solid team. They have a good offense. Just another win, another kind of feather in their cap as to me, UNLV is having a really good first season under Dan Mullen.
Sure.
I'm not convinced that they are going to be able to compete for a CFP spot.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not real confident about how they will do against Boise, but they have a great shot at, I think, going 11-1 this year.
Yeah.
And this is just another win on that way.
Yeah, I mean, both Navy and UNLV, you'll hear us talk about these two teams in our G6 power rankings that'll come out here later in the week. Undefeated teams, to your point. They're both 6-0.
Yep.
Not a blemish. It's not about how pretty the win is. It's about if you win the game. So they're both able to win the game right now. I want to talk about Air Force real quick. This team's 1-5.
Yeah.
And I watched the entire UNLV game versus Air Force. You and I were at the Navy Air Force game, and I just kind of ache for this team. They're 1-5. And they're not that bad of a team. They're not a 1-5 team. They just they can't stop letting teams score against them, and especially the passing game. Yeah. But to watch this offense from a Falcon team is impressive. I mean, they are top 20 in the nation for a reason. Zarka is for real. Fleischman, the tight end, is for real. Cade Harris, for real. Like, if they just had a somewhat of a secondary, they would be winning these games. And it was said in the UNLV press conference they've lost, I think they're point difference in their games is 8 or something like that, right? Because they blew out Bucknell, so they got a ton of point differential. But they lose by 3 to UNLV. They lose by, was it 3 or 4 to Navy 2 weeks ago? They have close games. They just can't close it out. And it hurts me to watch Air Force at a 1-5 record because they're not that bad of a team. They just aren't. They just can't get the dubs.
I think they're much improved from last year. Yeah. But unfortunately, it looks like they may end up with a very similar record to last year.
For sure.
So maybe this is a build year till next year. I do still wonder. You and I talked about this during the pregame when we were at Navy and Air Force. Air Force has made their bones over the years by playing, the triple option, controlling the clock, wearing out the other defense.
Right.
And so now they have this amazing passing game. And
Right.
It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
But you wonder if it changes what they have to do to win. It didn't matter so much before if they didn't have a great secondary.
Sure.
Because they could keep the ball for
2/3 of the game.
Yes,
or whatever.
2/3
Yeah.
or 75% of the
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
and give their defense so much time
Yeah.
to breathe. Well, now they're just scoring. They're scoring and scoring and scoring. And the defense has to keep. So I wonder if it just kind of changes the calculus of what it's going to take for them to win, and maybe they'll have to make some adjustments there.
It's a good point. 6 touchdowns in the last quarter of that game.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm talking about Air Force. 6 different touchdowns, 3 and 3 in that game.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. So, hey, Steve, thank you so much for your 10 big. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah.
We're back to it. 10 big things in college football. So, hey, we thank you guys for watching this. We got a whole bunch more content coming at you here this week. We got our live episodes Wednesday night where Steve picks all the Big Ten games and I pick all the Mountain West games. So make sure you smash that like button on the way out. Subscribe to our channel if you're not already. And we'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.